Toy Chat is not a children's channel. This video is intended for adult gift givers and collectors. Hey guys, welcome to Toy Chat. This is Max.
And Sang.
So, we are going to be having another discussion video today, and we are going to be talking about the wonderful and diverse world of Barbie. So this is going to be a conversation about kind of the full spectrum of things Barbie has been doing and releasing lately, all the way from Playline, things appearing on retail store shelves, up to the collector dolls. And we're going to be talking about just what we think about the general direction Barbie has been heading in recent history, especially now that she has some very intense competition. Definitely going to be a lot to discuss because Barbie is kind of doing and executing different things in the Playline space versus the collector space, and we're also going to be talking about the Barbie Looks dolls that I think fall somewhere kind of uniquely in between those two. We host a variety of different discussion videos on our channel, and if you want to check out our full Barbie playlist, it'll be linked in the description below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you can always know when new content publishes. We post new videos every week. Ish. We try. We try. To kind of kick this conversation off, we are going to be getting started in the world of Playline. So we're going to kick off from the get-go with the main things we have here to discuss are the Barbie Extra Minis. So the Barbie Extra Minis, I think, are maybe one of the Barbie products that has been most hotly discussed in the doll community as of late. They started popping up around the holiday season. And like the standard, 11, 12-inch Barbie Extra dolls, they are designed by Judy Choi, and, they definitely express, I think, a very similar kind of loud, over-the-top energy as, the standard Barbie Extra dolls, which we did review the first two waves of Barbie Extra. If you want to check those out, I will link them in the description below. But the Barbie Extra Minis are definitely a different vibe overall. So these are priced at $14.99, slightly cheaper with like the Walmart reduced pricing. I did find these at Walmart, but they are essentially $15. The packaging they come in is very simple. It's just a simple little window display, pull apart packaging, really easy to open. So we're gonna go ahead and unbox these and then have a little bit more of a discussion about them.
Tell me how you feel this.
Yeah, I think you just like pull it.
Yank it.
Just yank it. Yeah.
Wow. So I actually like the packaging for these. Kind of cute.
It is. Yeah.
It's a lot of plastic though.
Oh wow. The Barbie Extra Minis insert is completely separate.
If you want to keep it.
Yes. Alright, so the Barbie Extra Minis we have here, as with a lot of other Barbie products, they don't actually have names. That one that Sang has there with the little lavender outfit is doll number 4, and the one I have here is doll number 2. These have kind of been the talk of the town in the doll community. I think in part because the timing of their release sparked a lot of conversation because they came out at, not too long after the LOL Surprise Tweens, which we reviewed both Series 1 and Series 2 of those. Check them out if you haven't. Obviously, when it comes to design timelines, we don't know when development of these started versus when development of the tweens started, but they definitely do have a similar stature. They're just little mini dolls. They stand at 5.5 inches tall. And I think, do they kind of stand on their own? A little bit. Oh, yeah, look.
Nice.
There she is. So as I mentioned, the designer of Barbie Extra, Judy Choi, designed these. And when you look at her original artwork, it's kind of interesting how these sculpts turned out as opposed to what it seemed like the original design concept was. Because these sculpts, which to our knowledge, this is a new sculpt, I'm pretty certain. It's like a brand new sculpt. They are pretty articulated.
Yes,
but
they do have good articulation. They have the neck. It just kind of swerves. I don't think you can't bend it up and down. No, you can't.
I think it's just left and right. I don't think it tilts.
Yeah, it just swerves back and forth. Shoulders, elbows, no wrist articulation at the waist, and then at the knees. So there's some good articulation. I wish they included hand articulation, or wrist articulation, but they don't. Yeah, I mean, they're decently posable, which is kind of nice.
It's funny, the response to these has seemed pretty polarizing from what I've been seeing. I've been seeing a lot of people in the doll community saying that they really don't like these. There's been like some hate on these, but I have also seen some people say that they love these and they think they're adorable. I've even come across some people who weren't a fan of the standard Barbie extras, but they're into these. It's really funny, I feel like there's kind of a mini doll boom right now, a little bit, obviously, with like blind box dolls with LOL Surprise and Hair Doorables and so much other stuff, I think became so popular. And obviously, mini dolls are generally more affordable than, the standard like 11, 12-inch dolls. This is definitely a very different direction for Barbie to go in, because what I think is kind of interesting about these sculpts too is at a glance, if I were to not be aware of this line and someone were to show me this sculpt, I don't know if I'd guess that it would be created by Barbie.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. If someone showed me this out of box, I wouldn't make the connection to Barbie Extra and the Barbie brand. The packaging does have a very Barbie-like packaging, but yeah, the individual dolls, once they're out of the box, they look different. Like the sculpt is very interesting. It's very both very angular in the shape of the face, but also very flat looking as well. The thing I don't like about Barbie Extra and kind of the situation that some of these dolls come in, the earrings don't come out. Like, what if I don't like these earrings? So the thing is, for me, is like, I personally really like the redressability of dolls, and I think that's the part of having dolls, is being able to redress them. And plus, this one comes with a hoodie, so it kind of gets tangled up, but the earrings don't come out. They have the Barbie Extra feature where there's a hook inside of the earring where once you put it in, you can't take it out. And
you can like partially remove it, but it stops at a certain point, which it was the same on the standard extra dolls. We already kind of discussed that in the prior reviews as well. It's like, I'm not sure if the intent of that.
It's supposed to be a safeguard for choking hazards.
For choking hazards, yeah, and obviously Barbie Playline tends to be very targeted at, really young children. Yeah, these are suggested for ages 3 and up, which, I think for...
If I was a child, I will put a shoe in my mouth. Choking hazard.
Can they come off?
Yeah,
they totally come off. Yeah.
They have heel feet. Yeah. So I could choke on the shoe. Why can't I choke on the earrings?
It does feel like a lot of things that Mattel and MGA really both have been doing lately do feel like there's an intent behind it to directly compete with something else on the market. So I don't know if this was kind of like Mattel's response to the success of LOL Surprise Tots and maybe Tweens, although maybe that's like the timelines don't match up enough, to necessarily make the argument that like one was designed before the other or whatever, because we don't know that information. But I bought these two because I think of the collection of 4, I think these two are probably the cutest ones, but something I think is kind of interesting about these is something that I think distinguishes the Barbie brand is that in terms of Playline, Barbie does tend to have, I think, the most realism in its sculpts and proportions and stuff like that. These feel very stylized. Mm-hmm. They're very, their faces are very squished. They're giving me kind of like Hey Arnold vibes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Which I think is probably, I can see why they're polarizing. But overall, the price point, the fact that these are $15, I think that's a close to fair asking price. I'm sure there will be arguments that they should have been 10. But they do have a lot of interesting little details in terms of their accessories and their articulation and
She has glitter in her eyes.
They both have glitter. Yeah, I think that's a gimmick of this line is they all have little glitter eyes.
But I do think what you're getting is just a stand and the doll with a couple of accessories. And her outfit's only one piece. She at least has multiple pieces, which I think she's a bit more bang for your buck. She's a little basic, but she's cute. I love teddy bears. So.
Yeah.
And her hair is very nice. It's, you know, there's highlights in it. $15 I think is, the maximum I would purchase one of these for. If they were on sale, I would definitely say they're much more reasonably priced. I mean, they're cuter in person. Once they're out of the box, they're posable, which I like. You know, sometimes when you shrink things down, you lose a lot of the articulation, and articulation is something that we personally really like, and I'm glad they include some of that. It's a little on the pricey side. There's no brush, which, you know, us as adult collectors don't really need brushes, and the mini brushes that usually come with these dolls don't really work.
It's funny too, because it's always very exciting when Barbies come with stands, because a lot of Playline Barbie products do not come with stands. The design of these stands are very cute. The fact that like the logo is on both the base and, you know, like the tip of the stand rod, but these are not very good quality stands. Doll number 2 in particular, with her kind of bulky jacket, I was having issues fitting her inside the clasp, and it actually bent like really bad when I was trying to do that. So they have stands, but they're not very reliable stands. You know, something we've talked about I think a lot with Barbie Playline is they're not designed with us adult collectors in mind. These are totally, you know, the target market is young children, you know, in most cases children under the age of 10, or, you know, in some cases even younger. Obviously there's going to be older people who, you know, see them and collect them. I could definitely see, you know, the appeal here for the young ones. I think Barbie Extra has definitely been a line that's sparking a lot of conversation among the doll community, and, you know, which conversation is usually better than not capturing any attention at all. So yeah, I mean, I'm very curious what you guys think of these, you know, like what are your thoughts on the Barbie Extra Minis? Like, do you think they're worth it? Are you interested in them? Do you hate them? Do you love them? You know.
Have you ever even seen them in stores? Because so far it looks like only Walmart carries them in the United States. So I know Walmart's really behind Mattel lately, so.
Yeah, we'll post links below to purchase them. I believe they're available on Amazon as well, but the others, Walmart.com links. We personally have not seen them at Target. We haven't heard about anyone finding them at Target. Yeah, so I think in the world of Playline right now, Barbie is definitely...
I think they're geared towards families and collectors who are on a budget, it seems like. And, you know, their packaging is very colorful at a price point that is affordable. And, you know, their dolls reflect that.
You know, obviously the fashionistas is an opportunity for them to experiment with a lot of different things, you know, in terms of the fashions and stuff like that. This guy, number 184, he's very cute, and, you know, he's part of like the new line of fashionistas. I mean, I think that's one thing that Barbie is pretty successful at, is they develop so many different sculpts. So, you know, it's like if you're not jiving with one face, there's like so many different options out there. But yeah, you know, the world of Barbie Playline is one we don't dive into super deep that often, because it doesn't always suit our tastes, but it makes sense because, you know, they're not for us.
Yes.
So next we have the Barbie Looks dolls, which I think are very unique in that they really fall somewhere in between Playline and adult collector, because based on what I have seen, these dolls are basically online exclusives. I purchased all 4 of these on Amazon, and they've been very popular. They have been repeatedly selling out. They've been very difficult to get. They're available on the official Mattel shop, the Barbie website as well. But they're kind of interesting in that they feel a bit like elevated Playline in a sense, because they are pretty affordable. They're priced at $19.99, so these are $20 dolls, but they have a bit of an air of maturity about them. And what's really cool is I am pretty certain that every doll in this series, it debuts a brand new sculpt. which is something, it's more of a draw definitely for, you know, older collectors. And here we have, once again, you know, none of the characters are named, they just have numbers. We have models number 3, 5, 7, and 8, which we have 2 dolls from each of the 2 Barbie Looks waves that have come out thus far. So we're gonna go ahead and unbox these and get a closer look at them.
Alright, so we just unboxed these, and they were pretty easy to unbox. They come with their own stands, which is kind of the standard Barbie signature stands. The boy does have a larger waist piece. And these are fully articulated in the sense that they have joints similar to the made-to-move Barbie bodies, where they have the neck articulation, the breast articulation, shoulders, the twisty of the arm, elbow articulation and wrist articulations at the hips, and the twisty piece of the thigh, knee articulation, ankle articulation. So they're very posable, which is really nice.
I honestly think the Barbie Looks dolls are some of the best products Barbie is putting out right now. On the back of the packaging, they're described as introducing Barbie Looks, a curated collection of dolls, each with a fresh look and style personality. The on-trend fashions feature photo-worthy details, and with posable, articulated bodies, they inspire the stylist within. So, what's kind of interesting about these is it really does seem like these kind of are designed with adult collectors in mind, you know, despite the fact that they're very affordably priced. I feel like there's a lot of encouragement to unbox and pose and photograph and redress these dolls. And they have really very beautiful, you know, kind of a really fun, diverse spectrum of face sculpts, which, as we mentioned, yeah, these are all new face sculpts. And I'm a huge fan of these 4. I think they're very lovely. Yeah, doll number 5 here, which is, you know, a new Ken. I think he's a great looking male doll, you know, which obviously we don't get very much of nowadays. And all 3 of these girls are super lovely. It's funny, doll 8 here with like the short platinum blonde hair, I know a lot of people have been comparing her to Miley Cyrus, which I guess she is kind of giving like Wrecking Ball era Miley, but she actually reminds me personally more of pop star Robin. But yeah, I think the Barbie Looks collection is an opportunity for them to just experiment with, you know, a lot of fun and unique sculpts. It's kind of interesting that these dolls aren't showing up in stores, because I feel like they could be successful on retail shelves, but it seems like they've been reserved in the US anyway, pretty much as online exclusives. You know, I mean, if any of you guys out there have seen them at a brick and mortar retail store, you know, let us know. But I think they're pretty cool, you know, and we talk a lot about kind of the variation of price points. I think $20 nowadays is a very affordable doll. Their fashions are very simple, sleek for the most part. They're all dressed in, you know, black and white, so it's a very monotone kind of collection. I think that's just part of it, is it's supposed to be very kind of sleek and classy. And again, you're just encouraged to, you know, redress these dolls. And obviously there is a plethora of Barbie fashions that, you know, you can redress these characters in. Yeah, I would argue, I think this kind of stuff, it's some of the best products Barbie is putting out right now. It's a very happy medium between Playline to collector.
Yeah, I think they're a great price point. I love articulated bodies. My only gripe with these is something that overall with Mattel in general is they're not very upfront or have a archive of what sculpts these are. I know they're all new, but I wish they would name them so you'd be able to, you know, reference them later on. Also have, you know, specs on the body types, because, you know, I don't think on the box or anywhere, especially on their website, do they distinguish smaller made-to-move bodies to the taller one. So I think if they had include that, you would have a better idea of, okay, well, this clothing option might work better for her because she's on the taller body than something on the smaller body. So I think that portion of it, where if you are trying to redress them, you would have to physically try individual pieces on.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one thing about Barbie in general, and I mean, they do provide some of this information, like if you actually go to the Mattel and Barbie shop and look up like the specs of these characters and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to do that, or they're just going to come across an Amazon listing or something like that. And it's interesting because, yeah, to Sang's point, some of the signature dolls, when it debuts a new sculpt, yeah, the sculpt isn't named, it just says new sculpt. I know though, obviously a lot of the Barbie sculpts are named. That's just something I would like to see some improvement from Barbie in general, is transparency of what the product is. If the character has a name, what is it? What is compatible and what's not? It kind of feels like we as collectors and buyers have to do some digging to learn this information. I mean, that's part of the Barbie brand, I think, though, is kind of minimalism. Part of the reason why they probably don't name so many of their characters is because the Barbie brand is so based in imagination, building your own world and fantasy of these dolls and characters. You can kind of see yourself or see whatever you want, because you can be anything, you know, but which is interesting though, because there is obviously like a canon world of characters that's backed by, you know, animated web series, and obviously Barbie the character and her sister Chelsea and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, I mean, I think especially the first wave of Barbie Looks dolls, to me, there's not really a bad doll in the bunch. I think they're all very nice face sculpts, very striking. That's something that I think Barbie is investing in that other brands aren't doing quite as much, is there's just this heavy investment in tons of different face sculpts. There's just like an endless library, you know, of sculpts for them to choose from, and they keep adding to it.
Yeah, again, key point, there is a huge library of body types, face sculpts, skin tones. I wish there was an easier way to catalog all that for the collectors. And Barbie's such a huge brand that there are websites and fandoms where you can find that information. But I wish the company itself was a bit more upfront with that information.
But yeah, we're curious what you guys think about these two in terms of value for the price point. You know, like what do you expect from a $20 doll? We've discussed a lot in the past too that when it comes to price points, different people have different expectations, and sometimes something that might be a costly investment for the company, for the manufacturer, might not necessarily be perceived as a huge value add as the consumer. Because as we've discussed before, developing new sculpts is a really costly thing for a company to do, but the consumer might be like, I want fashion details, I want extra accessories, I want, you know, aesthetic flourishes, whatever, some of which are expensive and some of which are not as expensive on, you know, the manufacturing end. So yeah, the Barbie Looks dolls are pretty cool. Let us know what you guys think of them in the comments.
Yep.
All right, so on the full opposite side of our spectrum, we have Barbie Signature, you know, products that are directly targeted to adult collectors, for the most part priced at $75 and above. So here we have the second doll in the Barbie Signature Pink Collection. This girl is priced at $125, and I purchased her on the Mattel Creations website, which is officially where Barbie has said they're going to be pushing all of their adult collector products moving forward. Once again, this is the second doll in the Pink Collection, which is a series inspired by classic Barbie glamour and of course her signature color, pink. I would say this doll is a nice step forward from the first doll in this collection, which we will get to. You know, pickings have gotten very slim for adult Barbie collectors. A lot of them are jumping ship over to Integrity Toys, in no small part because the options are just not there anymore as much as they used to be. The Barbie Silkstone Fashion Model collection has officially been discontinued, tragically, and so there are no more of those. So there's been fewer and fewer signature adult collector dolls to get excited about from Barbie. But we're gonna go ahead and discuss this girl.
So her packaging is very pink. It has a nice window display of the doll, so you can definitely display her as is. So on the bottom you can see the logo for the Pink Collection in silver, metallic silver. And one of the cool options here on the box, which mine came ripped, but there is a little flap right here that has a nice little bow tie detail, and you actually don't need to undo this to open it. It actually has a magnet closure, which is really nice.
Yes.
And you can open her up and take a look.
I think this is a lovely display case box. It's very nice packaging. It's better than some of the other Barbie signature packaging I've seen in the past, so I think she looks lovely as an inbox doll. But
which is a very common thing for Barbie collectors, is they love displaying them in box.
Yeah.
The back of the box has a little bit of a blurb about the collection and then this doll as well. And there is a drawing of the doll from Robert Best, who is the designer of this particular doll and majority of the signature dolls.
Yeah, something we talked about that's kind of interesting. Robert Best is an iconic Barbie designer. He's very, very known for his work with the Barbie brand. When the fashion model collection was discontinued, we assumed he might have been like on his way out or of the industry or moving into a new project or whatever, but he's continuing to work with Barbie, which kind of to me raises the question why the fashion model collection was discontinued.
Well, it seems like collectors didn't really jive with like the silkstone articulated body, so and I guess he wanted to move away from that sculpt, so he's now doing just the standard, more Barbie-esque looks and design. But yeah, he's been with the company forever, and this is just him pivoting to like a different collection, which, you know, sometimes when you're feeling no longer inspired by a particular thing, you just move on to the next thing.
But we're gonna go ahead and open her up and get a closer look.
Yeah, and we're gonna do something sacrilegious with her, so we'll see.
All right, so here we have the second Pink Collection Barbie doll unboxed, and she is definitely sporting Barbie's signature color, but I would say this palette is a little bit more of a deep magenta in hue. And what's really cool about this doll is she is sporting a new face sculpt. The sculpt doesn't have a name. It literally just says new in the specs on the website, but it's a very lovely sculpt. The screening is pretty cute. She has just a light layer of magenta eyeshadow and a nice pink lipstick.
Very cute smile. It's very friendly.
And she is wearing very nice drop earrings that actually dangle. They have cute little faux gemstones. Yeah, I think one of the most striking things about this doll are her drop earrings. So this is considered a Barbie gold label doll. So you guys may have heard the terms black label, Barbie, pink label floating around. So for those who don't know, there's different tiers of Barbie releases, starting with the pink label, which essentially means it's Playline things, basically just for, you know, everyday purchase, are gonna fall into that category. And then from there we have silver, gold, and platinum tiers. So the gold label is it's the ones the Barbie signature dolls we most commonly review, where it will usually say no more than 25,000 produced worldwide. The platinum label which is the highest tier, means it's edition size of 1,000 or less. So those ones are very coveted. But yeah, she is gold label Barbie. She's wearing a lovely tiered asymmetrical satin gown, which also has a bodice with some micro sequin details. And she's also wearing a really cute brooch.
The brooch is interesting because I'm used to brooches that are attached via like a clip or like a magnetic closure, like link. This one's like a pin. You stab it into the dress, which I don't know how I feel about that because it damaged the dress itself. But I mean, the dress already has holes in it because she's tied into the box via a couple of these threads at the bottom. There are some threads holding the pin into her waist. So with the gold label, these dolls, generally speaking, are meant for display in box. So they are really strapped down really tight with plastic straps and then thread. I wish sometimes like their outfits aren't damaged by that portion of it or isn't completely strapped down. It is what it is. It's a very cute dress regardless.
I think if we're speaking conceptually, the design of this Barbie as a whole, and in particular her gown, speak to me much more than the first Pink Collection Barbie, who, I mean, you could argue that that one is more quote-unquote classic signature Barbie, but to me it was just a lot of tulle that I think just doesn't feel as luxe or as intricate as this really soft, you know, layered satin. Something I really like about this doll and the design of her gown is it really has like a rose petal effect, especially, you know, towards the bottom. You know, she kind of looks like she's going to prom, but she's going to like a fancy prom.
The back closes with a couple buttons. It's better than Velcro.
Yeah.
And then she has mitten opera gloves. Do with that information as you want. She's cute. She has the same stand as the same stand base as the Black Label, but she has the...
It's like the crotch stand where you prop them up at their upper thighs. There's not actually like a clasp. She's also wearing this, you know, simple pair of Playline looking high heels.
But this one's already warped, see?
You know, I'd really like to see the Barbie signature dolls, because this outfit is so beautiful and so luxe, I would really like to see them elevate the shoes to kind of that same level. I know Barbie is capable of it. I don't know, that also just might be, that's just how the feet are designed. They're very small. And her articulation, she has the limited articulation. She's the Model Muse sculpt, which is labeled as under the Silkstone umbrella, but she does not have the Silkstone bodies used for the fashion model collection. So it's not
the later ones, because I know the Silkstone originally had this body.
I'm wondering, like, feeling her sculpt versus feeling the Playline sculpt.
This doesn't feel quite as hollow. Again, we jumped into that collection later on.
Yes. So we had the very articulated version. And I know it's really funny. I know articulation is kind of a polarizing topic among Barbie collectors. There's a lot of Barbie collectors who don't want the articulation because they like the increased realism of not having kind of like those dividing edges of, you know, the different pieces. And obviously a lot of Barbie collectors are inbox collectors.
Or they just display the doll as is. But you know, us coming from like a photography background, just we like articulation because even slight gestures can change up the mood and look of a doll. This particular doll and kind of like the direction they're kind of going towards is they're meant for like display. It's
kind of interesting the direction Barbie has gone with their signature releases. It kind of feels like Barbie, when it comes to adult collectors, is having a little bit of an identity crisis right now. You know, they're kind of trying to figure out where they fit into that spectrum, particularly because I'm pretty certain a bulk of their profit comes from their Playline products. So they are definitely catering to more of a niche market with their signature and adult collector releases. The recent Barbie Balmain collaboration, with which you guys may have been seeing on Instagram, which features a small collection of one-of-a-kind dolls that are being auctioned alongside NFTs of those Barbies.
And they sold for a lot of money. So.
And we're not here to open up the can of worms of NFTs in today's video.
Yes.
But it feels like Barbie's trying a lot of different things to try to see what will work for their adult collectors, or maybe even if they want to continue catering to adult collectors. I mean, I know the adult collector space has shifted a bit as well now that, you know, Integrity Toys is growing. Disney designer dolls have been popular for a very long time, and they have $100+ dolls that are very popular as well.
And so, you know, there's a bunch of new brands coming out or enter the collector space, like Mitzi's,
GHD fashion dolls.
Jamie Show, their brand of dolls coming out. So it is a very packed market at this point. And you know, Barbie's been around for a real long time, and they have generations of collectors at this point. So it's hard to please every single one of them, because some of them prefer this body, some of them prefer more articulated bodies. Some collectors collect them as inbox collecting, and some of them prefer to take them apart and, you know, redress them, which I did with my kind of collecting. So it is hard for Mattel to cater to every single demographic, and I don't blame them for shipping to this kind of doll versus this kind of doll. And it's, you know, it's a space where they are trying to be a bit more financially stable. These are $125, and it's hard to compare this doll to something else that is a bit more expensive and we expect the same quality. I think at her price point, the dress itself is very nice and the fabric they use is pretty luxe. There's certain aspects of her that I think I do not like, just because that's my kind of collecting. It doesn't really fit into this demographic. But she is a very gorgeous doll, and there's aspects of her that I think Mattel is going in the right direction. I'm glad that they haven't completely disregarded like the doll collectors.
We could have an entire separate conversation and discussion video dedicated purely to pricing and what one collector or one person or parent or gift giver thinks is fair for doll and toy pricing versus what isn't fair. It's a very nuanced, complex conversation, but I think when it comes to Barbie specifically, you know, when it comes to their Playline things versus their collector things, you know, we have to keep in mind that those are actually two very separate spaces with separate target demographics. And I think if we want very luxurious, high-end, detailed products from Barbie, Barbie has to be given the breathing room to increase those prices. I think especially because competition out there, you know, we started seeing certain products on the market with, you know, from competitor MGA, from LOL Surprise, from Rainbow High, a lot of perceived value at pretty affordable price points, although their prices have been rising recently. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have to keep in mind that when you start talking about the adult collector space, like, yeah, these products are designed or supposed to be designed with quality in mind. People aren't necessarily going to play with them or even really ever unbox them. They're gonna display and they're supposed to look nice in box. There's certain aspects of that manufacturing that are gonna be a lot more costly for the company. And something we definitely learned from our kind of, like our convention coverage and everything from IT, Integrity Toys, is that one of the costliest aspects of developing dolls, aside from investing in brand new, you know, sculpts and that kind of thing, is the fashions and high quality fabrics and brocades and stuff like that. And of course, when you think about when these things that are developed and manufactured overseas, the cuts of those fabrics that you're going to be requesting, and not cheap fabrics, but actual silk, satin, chiffon, you know, stuff like that, you're asking for these cuts that are ordinarily much larger, like human sized. So these companies have to be making these deals with these companies. It's like, all right, we're allocating this amount of funding towards this and the really deluxe fashions. We don't necessarily have the budget to add these other factors here unless we increase the pricing. And Integrity Toys prices have skyrocketed. We're kind of curious what you guys think about that range in price points, and I think some people may be coming purely from Playline. You hear a certain given price for a doll at all, and you're just like, whoa, like that's, like, I won't go above that point, or why would you even, like, why is it even possible for a doll to cost that much, or what justifies this? Yeah, that's a whole other conversation too, you know, which if you guys want a separate discussion video on that, we've talked about that a lot in the past, you know, let us know.
Speaking of Integrity Toys, I did dress up Poppy in her fashion, and it fits very nice.
Fits beautifully. The added faux fur was a very nice touch. I think
you.
It added something that was missing from the look.
Yeah, I do not like the fact that it has this large plastic clear strap on the doll. I think it does lower the look a bit, so I cut that off. And I think, you know, they could have just used like a fish liner string on there instead of a huge strap. But, you know, she's pretty, and of course you can always reuse clothing among your dolls if you can get the proportions right. And then the proportions does fit Integrity Toys Poppy Parker pretty well.
All right, so that has been our discussion of the spectrum from Playline to adult collector releases from Barbie. We're very curious what you guys think. You know, what are some of your recent favorites from Barbie? You know, what are certain things you want to see more of from the brand? What do you think they're doing right? What do you wish they would be doing differently? Definitely let us know in the comments. Definitely a diverse variety of options in this spectrum here. So I think if you're not as much of a fan of what they're doing in the Playline space, you can probably find something on the other end and vice versa.
This is like a small glimpse into what Mattel is doing with Barbie. There's quite a few Playline Barbie stuff that's out on the market on the Barbie aisle. So we only talked about a little bit of it, but I'm just definitely curious what you guys think. I really like these guys. These are fun. I love articulation. As a collector, I prefer that. And you know, there's a little bit of inbox collecting as well if you prefer just to display your dolls as is. And on like the cheaper end of things, they are branching out to different markets and different types of collectors and interests as well.
All right, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't. And once again, our full Barbie playlist will be linked below if you want to check out our other videos. Let us know what you want to see reviewed or discussed next on our channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye!